For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
To be honest, I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. I checked what the CDC says and spoke with my doctor about the potential side effects. It definitely made me much less anxious. She told me if I have some arm pain or feel tired, that's completely normal as my body builds a defense to the virus. I was willing to take the vaccine to protect me, my family, and my friends. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
This pandemic has hit us hard, but Tennesseans don't stay down for long. We're known for our resilience, and we refuse to back down from a challenge. This challenge is no different. You might be out of work, but there's an opportunity waiting for you. We need you to roll up your sleeves and join our workforce. Right now, thousands of jobs are ready to be filled. Find them at jobsfortn.gov. Let's get to work, Tennessee.
For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste. Man, oh man. Is it still hard to believe what happened last night? It's still hard to believe for me, man. And it's a whole new day. It's 3 p.m. And it's still hard for me to believe what went down last night, man. I am your host, Joshua Midget. And in case you don't know, this is Talk Sports Live right here on the Talkback Live Network. And I'm glad to be joining y'all once again. It's 3 o'clock on a Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for Talk Sports Live. Appreciate everybody for joining me on this Friday. As Frankie says in the comments, happy Grizzlies Friday. Everybody, man, it is a happy Grizz Friday indeed. If you're a Grizz fan, if you're a fan of this team and everything that goes with it, you're a happy person on today. And I know I am. I can't even lie, man. Look, as I stated, before the playoffs, been a fan of the Grizzlies since before, since they first got here, man. But seeing what this team has done this year has continued to impress, continued to amaze me, continued to shock me. And they seem to be continuing to build upon everything that we've seen from them this season. And it's still unbelievable to watch it continue to develop before our eyes. But if you guys want to join the conversation, you can do so by hitting us up 901-213-6020. You can also leave a comment on the screen as well if you're watching on Facebook. Could be watching on our YouTube channel, Talkback Live Network on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so there. We're also live on Twitter at Talkback Live, one word, at Talkback Live on Twitter. We are live on all those platforms. We are also live on Spreaker as well, so you can check us out everywhere on the time. So, man, look, again, last night, and unless you were sleeping under a rock or you were working or whatever the case is, and even now, it's 3 p.m. on Friday. You would think by this point, most of y'all would know what happened, and I do think, pretty sure that most of y'all know what went down last night. The Memphis Grizzlies went into Minnesota. The Minnesota Timberwolves into their house, right? And we knew going into that game, the expectation was, okay, we won game 2, the series is tied, 1 game apiece. And going into Minnesota, it's going to be a hostile environment. They can get loud, they can get rowdy down there, whatever the case is. And that the Grizz needed to continue to bring that energy that they brought in game 2 and transfer it into game 3. But what ended up happening was none of that happened. Immediately, Minnesota went up 12-0. And I think everybody was on red alert at that point. It didn't get much better, at least from that point as the game went on. They were down by, I think, around 24, 25 points in the first half. By halftime, they chopped the lead down to 7. Then you think, okay, going into the second half, you feel pretty good about it, right? You think, okay, the Grizz have fought back, and now it's a game. Now they get to sit at halftime. They get to rest. They get to do all this stuff, get to look at the adjustments, things they did wrong in the first half, adjust for the second half. And you think, all right, things are going to be fine. It's okay. And then to come out the second half, Minnesota goes back up by 26 points. Unbelievable. And you think at that point, maybe this just isn't our night. They just came out flat. So many other things. I'm going to get into some more of it, what I saw of why some of this happened. But so many things went wrong. You began to think, I think most of y'all would probably agree, it's just not our night. We're probably not going to win. And look, I know, and I've seen some things. Some people might lie to you and say, hey, I never lost faith in my Grizzlies. I never for once doubted that the Grizz would win this game. I guarantee you, most of y'all, if you said that, you're probably lying. Now, there may be 1 or 2 of you that probably never lose faith in your team. But at that point, when you're down 26-27 in the third quarter, late in the third, at least 4 minutes in the third, 4 minutes left in the third, that is. I wouldn't blame you if you lost faith. Let's just be real. I did. I thought it was over. I really did. I didn't say, we just got to stick it out. No, I really thought it was over. But I kept my eye on the game. I'm one of those, it's really got to feel real bad for me to just stop watching or listening or whatever the case is. I kind of want to see it through. I know some people are like, hey, I just don't want to. No, I kind of want to see it through unless, I see zero hope. I did think there was a slight chance, but for the most part, I'm thinking, yeah, this is over. Let's see how we finish. That's what I want to see. But then they start chopping it down. And then they start chopping it down. And they start chopping it down. Key point to me, end of the third quarter, the score was 83-67. Again, the score was 83-67. Now, I think somebody might be trying to call. Just pulling up the phone, by the way. So if I missed this first one, just hit me back again, and we'll get you on in. But nonetheless, 83-67. And then the run of runs came. And before you know it, Desmond Bain is hitting a three to tie the game at 83 in the fourth quarter. And I'm like, what am I watching? What is happening? There's so much to talk about. I can't even talk about the whole process of the comeback. Every little thing that was made, Brandon Clark, Tyus Jones, John Morant, Jaren Jackson with a big three down the stretch, the big block by Jaren. Dylan Brooke with some key passes in the lane, even though he struggled offensively. He hit the big one late, as you saw in the highlights I was showing, to close the game out. All sorts of things. But before I get into it some more, let's go to the phone lines and see what we can see.
Call from.
Y'all already know who it is.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
All right. I think we know who this is, but let's see anyway. Caller, welcome to the show.
Y'all already know who it is. Of course. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Man, let me get on this phone early, man. This is, as Stephen A. Smith would say on First Take,
yeah,
this is pure blasphemy.
Blasphemy? What?
Man.
What is you talking about? Come on, man.
Man, it was Lucky Charm night in Minnesota, and we all know it, man. Come on, guys. This guy in Minnesota should have been fired right after the game. It's ridiculous, man.
Okay.
Come on, man.
So, all right. So, what you mean, Lucky Charms, man? This ain't.
Are you about to? Because I'm sure you're about to sit here now.
10 now on the shot clock. $1:22 for regulation.
Gritted. They grinded it out.
Yes.
They did it. They fought.
Yes.
Man, come on, man.
What you? Look, okay. How else do you explain? How else do you explain this comeback? Go ahead.
It was Lucky Charm night in Minnesota.
Come on, bro.
Okay? I don't know what happened. Somebody either spiked the coach's Gatorade over there or something. Because there ain't no way you sit down and you watch your team go. What was the run?
21-0.
21-2.
21-0.
Or something before this cat even decides that, hey, they're really coming back.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Come on, dude.
Look. First of all, I will say this to your point. And for those of y'all watching, go ahead and hit that like button. Most definitely appreciate that. But for your point, GKP, I will say that was the dumbest coaching decision I've ever seen. It might be ever that I might have ever seen. The most inexplicable, the lack of a timeout. Now, I appreciated it. I was almost ready to send him a gift basket for that. But nonetheless, we still had to execute despite all of that may have went in our favor in that one little instance. That one small stretch where he didn't call a timeout. That might have gone our way. But we still had to hit the shots. We still had to play the defense. There wasn't no fluke. There was nothing lucky. We were fortunate in some instances, yes. But that's the way basketball is, man. You can go back to, the Kawhi when he hit that lucky shot against the 76ers when he was with the, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm bringing your boy up.
On,
that lucky shot.
That shot was right on target.
No, it was. You know that they bounced all over the rim as he was squatting next to Embiid and started crying.
Forget about the 3 hops, man. That shot was in line from the time he let it go out of his hand. I don't know what the rim was doing.
Exactly.
Okay?
They was in line for the rim. And, somebody knocked that thing in. Somebody wanted up above. The Lord looked like he wanted Kawhi to win that championship because he know he wasn't going to win one with the Clippers. But that's a whole nother thing we could talk about in the future. But look, I'm like this, man.
Next year, buddy, he'll be back.
He'll
see.
Be back. Yeah, will he though? That's you know how Kawhi is. You know he's quiet, but nonetheless, shout out to Greg, man. Kawhi braids too tight. But Greg said it don't matter, man. Luck, divine intervention, drugs, whatever. We whoop those tricks. Ain't it, man?
And listen, man, what kind of team? How long do y'all think they're going to let this team get away with out here saying these vulgar lyrics? I mean, man, where's the FCC when you need them?
What you mean,
this
tricks?
team is sitting here hollering about whoop a prostitute. I mean, come on, man.
Look,
what's going on?
They're not
proud of that. This y'all theme, man, here in Memphis.
What?
Whoop a trick.
The thing is, they're not using it in
I'd buy that for $40. Come on.
See, that's where your mind going. We talking about basketball and we talking about whooping tricks. The tricks were the Timberwolves last night. They were the tricks that got tricked, you know what I mean, with that 21-0 run at the end. And the coach was a trick to be honest, all of them. Pat Beverly, Karl Anthony Towns with all the junk he's talking. And did y'all hear him after the game? I'm almost ready to rant on the Timberwolves, but the man said they asked Karl Anthony Towns, what are you going to do as a leader of the team to get over this and move on to the next game? He said, I'm going to go home. This is a quote. And I'm going to go home and drink some wine and wind down. What are you talking? See, that shows right there. They ain't going to win another game. I'm talking about drinking wine.
He's not worried, man. They understand that it was Lucky Charm night. It happened. Hey, just remember, they just did it to the Clippers. So they know what it's like to come back on a team and to defeat one. I'll be honest, they did it to us.
They did.
Okay?
They
That's
did.
the only reason they're where they are right now.
It is
because of the same thing Memphis did to them.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, man, they're going to go home like he said. He's going to have his wine. He's going to wind down, and he's not going to whine about this loss. Because it was just Lucky Charm night. They clearly see that they can do what they want to do with Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm saying, the coach should have been fired. If I was owner of Minnesota, what? Well, hey, Dwayne Wade. But
no, that's Utah. That's Utah. Now,
other team.
Yeah,
I probably would have fired this guy. Honestly.
But look, here's the thing, and I think A-Rod's on Minnesota now.
Yeah. A-Rod.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Dwayne Wade's in Utah.
Yeah.
Okay, still. Okay, either way. But, hey, man, it was disgusting. It was embarrassing for the NBA, as I heard my man
Charles
Barkley say last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuse. And listen, Memphis did what they did, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But Memphis did what they did, but there's no way that coach would be my coach this morning after sitting there and just watch his team just consistently fail on defense, watching the lead just shrivel down, and you do nothing.
Yeah.
You just stand there like, what do you think was going to happen? Did you think they were going to who do you think was coming in there?
Yeah, I think he thought
from remember the Wayans boy when he died and he was coming down from heaven helping the team win? He must have been waiting on him.
I ain't thought about that so long, but yeah.
He got what was the name of that movie? Yeah, he must have been waiting on him or thought he was gonna come out and do his thing. Okay?
Yeah, man.
So
look,
good win, Grizz.
Thank you.
We'll pay attention to the next one. Okay.
And that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm glad you ending this on a high note because we're gonna make a run to the West Finals, and we need all the folks on the wagon as possible. And I'm glad to see you're a fan, man. I'm sure you're gonna get you a John jersey. You know what I'm saying? And shake them haters off. I feel you, man.
Well, man, one thing I'll leave you with. I drive a Lexus, buddy. I don't drive a wagon. Okay? Y'all already know who it is.
All right, Lexus. a.k.a. GKP. His new name is Alexis, evidently. But shout out to GKP. Frankie says, if you get the coach's address, I'll FedEx a basket. Yeah, man, look, I think we can get together. Maybe send him me and Bob get together with some rib sandwiches, you know what I'm saying, and thank him for that. But I will say, man, and I love what Charles Barkley said after the game. GKP just hit it. He was talking about how stupid the Timberwolves are. He called the Timberwolves dumber than a box of rocks. You know what I'm saying? And I agree. And I've said that for a while. They're extremely talented. They got a lot of young talent. They've overachieved in a lot of ways. But they are dumb. I mean, when I say that, they play dumb in certain instances. Not all the time. Sometimes they look great. But other times they look very dumb. And I think especially in that run, you saw the idiocy of the Timberwolves and the inconsistency of the Timberwolves. Because, look, this is what got on my nerves. I know everybody was hyping up Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and all of a sudden everybody forgot that Anthony Towns has choked so many times. The doctor can't even keep check of the amount of times he chokes because he doesn't show up when the moment is the brightest. It's always been the case with Karl Anthony Towns. Either he's not hitting the big shots, he disappears when the lights are brightest, he fouls out, or he's not even there because he's fouling too much when the lights are brightest. The Clippers game that GKP just talked about, Karl Anthony Towns wasn't in the game when they came back because he was busy knocking people over and running them over like he was Derrick Henry, and being reckless. He wasn't on the floor because of foul trouble. Last night, he had 8 points, 5 rebounds. The Grizz did a great job on him. But also, he didn't seem to be looking for that ball too much. He only took 4 shots. He made 3 of them. One was a jumper late in the game at the top of the key where he tried to act like he was going to try to take the game over. That's all we ever saw. He might as well not have been on the court. I think they would have been better with Naz Reid out there than Karl Anthony Towns. But that whole team, they got what they deserved because, I feel like they were feeling themselves a little too much. I feel like the people that supposedly were analysts are talking about the Grizz and the trouble that the Grizz are going to be in this series, I think they got what they deserved as well. Because, again, the T-Wolves did their thing the way they came out. But I still think, again, the Grizz need to make some adjustments on how they do things and how they start the game to prevent these things from happening. Now, you can't expect to consistently come back from 27 down. But nonetheless, just to enjoy the moment right now, I do think this is, again, incredible. And it speaks to how tough and how resilient this Grizzlies team is. Got about 10, 15 minutes before my guest joins me. So if you want to join the conversation, you can. 901-213-6020. If you haven't already, if you're watching this video, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It'll be greatly appreciated to show that you enjoy what we got going on. Also, share the video as well. Let me read some more of the comments here. Greg says, I gave up hope when they went down again by 25 in the third quarter. I knew they would make another run, but thought they would run out of gas. And surely they couldn't walk down another 25-point lead in the same game. Glad I was wrong. That was amazing, man. And that's what I think is not getting talked about enough, unless you listen locally. I know a lot of people talking about the comeback and all that. But think about it. They were down twice by 25-plus points. First half, they were down by 25. Second half, again, down by 27. And they came back both times and made it a competitive game. The second time, they pushed it out to a 10-point lead by the time it was all said and done. Incredible stuff, man. But I want to show some of these highlights again. I know some of the audio was not on, but let me go through some of these highlights. And these are the highlights from Bally Sports. So you get to hear Pete and Brevin and all their glory from some of these big moments during the comeback. Check it out.
10 now on the shot clock. $1:22 for regulation. Brooks, a step back 3 over Towns. It's in! Ice water in the veins of Dylan Brooks. And the Grizzlies lead it by 10.
Well, this is a great job by Kyle Anderson, grabbing the offensive rebound, then does even a better job of recognizing 2 bigs inside, moves it to Tyus.
Minnesota used their challenge, unsuccessful earlier in the game on an offensive foul. Morant crosses over, drives, flips, and it falls. Morant. Grizzlies bench. 31 points from the Grizzlies bench, including 11 from Tyus Jones. 3 for 3 from Tyus.
Aaron Jackson Jr. going here because if they're going to win Game 4, he's going to have an impact. It would be one of the greatest turnarounds. It is the greatest turnaround in Grizzlies.
Tyus banks it in. Tyus Jones with 5. Beverly drives, 0 step, smothered by Jackson. Grizzlies trying to get back in transition. Wow. How in the world Towns doesn't get called for a slipping foul there? Clark, offensive rebound. Got by Beverly, laid it in, turns it over. Tyus going to attack. A drop off. Bain to the rim and in. 5 in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, it becomes an entirely different proposition. Offensive rebound, Anderson. Tyus for 3. Bingo! Brooks, Jackson, Bain, Morant, and Brandon Clark on the floor for the Grizzlies. Brooks drives baseline, finds Clark, and he puts it in. Brandon Clark with 18. 5 minutes remaining in regulation. Morant, Bain, a catch and shoot 3. Bingo! Desmond Bain has tied his career high. 10 now on the shot clock. $1:22 for regulation. Brooks, a step back 3 over Towns. It's in! Ice water in the veins of Dylan Brooks.
Woo, man, and even watching that again, that Dylan Brooks dagger to end it was just something else. Because Dylan was so bad, really, for most of the game. You saw him passing to Brandon Clark down there late. You know, to finish it like that was so perfect. The most boisterous guy on the team. You know what I'm saying? For him to hit that big shot in the eye, right in the eye, between the eyes, as Pete Pranica like to say, right between the eyes of Karl Anthony Towns, and the yell in the crowd telling them to go on home and whatever else they were saying that I probably can't say on the air. I loved every second of it. And then the block, just to rub it all the way in with John Morant blocking the shot at the end there, with the Grizz already up by 10, and the Timberwolves have seen that they have completely blown that game. I mean, you gotta love it, man. It's just the best. If you're a Grizz fan, you gotta love every second of it, and I know I did, and I will continue to enjoy it. I can't even lie to you. Brandon Clark again, shout out to him. MVP of this game, him and Desmond Bain, I think, can split that honor. Desmond Bain, 26 points. I think he had 7 threes. Last night he had some huge shots down the stretch to tie the game, to extend the lead. Brandon Clark with some huge shots down low, huge rebounds as well. Just incredible stuff. Tyus Jones, you see there. Stones coming up. Stones with the big 3. A couple of big 3s late in the game as well. And shout out to Taylor Jenkins. I'll say this. It was a good adjustment he made. There's the block by John to just rub it in. I can't tell you how much I screamed when I saw that. But like I was saying, with Taylor Jenkins, Coach Jenkins, making the adjustment late, letting Ja play off the ball, let Tyus run the point, and have 2 ball handlers out there that could create and score at the same time was brilliant by Coach Jenkins. And you saw Ja kind of thrive off the ball there, doing some different things. And really both could operate off the ball depending on who was the point, who wasn't. So Greg on another comment says, you can't call that a comeback luck, though. Luck is coming back and winning on a half-court shot or somebody sneaking in a last-second layup on the inbound. But to not only take the lead, but then go up by 10 is not luck. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to GKP. I do disagree with the luck part. Because straight up, man, look, they took the lead. They extended the lead. And when you see something like that, that usually happens when a team is clearly better than the other. And they decide to show that they're better than the other. And that happens sometimes. I know people want to say, oh, the Grizz showed. And look, I was watching Undisputed, and I hadn't quite seen all of First Take's thoughts on this. I like to see those 2 shows and get their thoughts on the Grizz when they have some nationally relevant situations going on. But one thing that was so ignorant when I was listening to Skip and Shannon talk about it, as we know, they don't have a clue who these guys are on the Grizzlies. They're reading off the sheet of paper and reading the stats about how guys are doing and this, that, and the other, whatever. But that wasn't what bothered me. What bothered me, see Skip Bayless talk about they spent more time talking about how terrible Ja was than the actual win. They said, yeah, the Grizzlies won, but I'm going to give Ja a C-. He was terrible. He missed all these shots. He was totally inefficient. They can't win with him doing that. He's got to play better. He was pathetic. They didn't do this. They're showing that they're a young team. Look, have they ever seen a team come from behind before? A team that was clearly better than another sometimes not do what they're supposed to do, which I agree the Grizz did not early in the game. And you can't do that. You cannot. And they can't continue to do that and expect to win all the time. But that happens a lot of times to teams that clearly know that they're the better team. And when that happens, sometimes they come back. And in this instance, they came back from a near historic margin, the third biggest comeback in NBA playoff history, the biggest comeback in Memphis Grizzlies history. Looking at the Memphis Grizzlies playoff history, that is. I mean, it was just incredible to me. And I know Ja didn't play well, but to me, to act like he was a detriment to the team, I saw he was even compared to Westbrook with his levels of inefficiency. I can't really say that. I know Ja had 7 turnovers. He's got to be better. Ja went 5 of 18, didn't shoot well at all. But late in that game, here is the difference. You know you have a leader on the floor. You didn't see him lose control of himself. If that was Russell Westbrook in that situation, the Grizz would have lost by 50 because Westbrook would have still continued to try to jack up threes he should had no business taking. He would continue to make bad turnovers. He would continue to miss free throws. He would continue to stop themselves further deeper in that hole. That's what Westbrook would have done. What Ja did was adjust. He stopped taking some of those bad threes, some of those bad shots he was taking. He started driving to the rim more. He started facilitating more instead of trying to score. That was what Ja did in game 2 as well. He's not stubborn like some other players that continue to try to do what's not working. He changed what wasn't working to the benefit of his team. And it wasn't just Ja. It was the role players that won this game. Sometimes, as much as you love having a star, the role players win games when it comes to playoff time. Stars matter. Stars win. But role players are extremely important when playoff time comes around because sometimes the star is not going to have a good game. Sometimes you need those other guys to step up when the star is getting all the attention. And those others were Brandon Clark. Those others were Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones. That's why you have a deep team that you put together so that when that star does struggle, you're not only relying on him. You're not like, what I want to say, the Lakers, where LeBron is out here dropping 40 every game, but they continue to lose because nobody else around them knows how to do anything. This isn't the same situation. So I feel like the analysis was more focused on the negative than the positive. And, not to say that we gloss over the negative, but they won the game. That needs to be the focus. The focus that despite all odds, despite falling down by almost 30 points twice in the same game, that they come back each and every time. That is unprecedented. And that, to me, is the sign of a champion, not of a young team. That's just me. But y'all give me your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. You're welcome to hit that number, 901-213-6020, or you're also welcome to leave your comments as well. Courtney Arnold, what's up? Courtney says, we're not going to get the respect we deserve until we get to the finals. I agree. You're probably right about that because all the talk right now is about Golden State and Phoenix. Now, not so much Phoenix with the injury to Devin Booker. So we'll wait to see what happens there. Frankie with another comment says, I am so glad Desmond Bane had a good game. We needed him to. Needed him to. He was huge, man. Hit some huge shots late that really turned the tide. And the Grizz, look, people say the Grizz struggle shooting threes. The Grizz have never been a really good three-point shooting team other than Desmond Bane and maybe some other games from Jaren Jackson here and there. But they never shot a good percentage from three all year. What they do is attack the basket, score down low. That's why they're number one in the NBA in paint points. Points in the paint, points down low. John Morant, is he number 2 in the NBA or top 5? I know, in points scored in the paint. There's a reason for that. That's why the Grizzlies are one of the best rebounding teams in the NBA, as you see right there with the Kyle Anderson rebound and kick out for 3. That's what they do. They hit threes occasionally, but that's not their game. Their game is inside out, So that is what it is. But, man, I am fired up. That game, I don't know how you couldn't be fired up. And, I think the Grizz will go on and win this series. Minnesota might not win another game. I don't know if I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that. But I do think if you have Grizzlies in 5, you should feel fairly confident in your prediction, to say the least. So got a couple more minutes here before my man Warren Shaw will join me. So looking forward to that. We're going to talk all things NBA, man. I'm going to get into these playoffs because a lot of stuff is going on outside of just the Grizzlies. And then after Warren, we'll talk a little bit more, give you guys a little more time to call on the back end after Warren Shaw is finished. Should be close to the 4 o'clock hour for a few minutes, and then I'll be out of here at that point. But, once again, incredible game, incredible performance by the Grizzlies. And again, one more thing to bring up about Minnesota's coach. If anything, he proved that coaches can freeze up too. Coaches can freeze up too. Coaches can completely go into paralysis when something unexpected is happening, especially when they haven't been in that position. And Chris Finch, being the leader of the Timberwolves, went into paralysis during that game because when you see your team losing and collapsing to such an incredible degree, 21-0 run the Grizz went on. No timeouts by Minnesota's head coach. Absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I can't tell you how ticked off I would be if that was Taylor Jenkins, the Grizzlies coach that did the same thing in the same situation. I might be calling for his job, especially under these circumstances. That is so unacceptable. So negligent as well. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. He was over there coaching and panicking, but that was the problem. Other than the Grizz making the adjustments needed, they panicked when the pressure came. And that's the difference, again, between a championship team and a team that's just learning how to get there. The Timberwolves are that team. Sure, they'll get better in the future, but that was a huge learning experience for them. It just depends on whether they learn from it. Will the coach learn from it? Will Karl Anthony Towns learn from it? I don't know about that because he's going to be too busy getting drunk on wine to learn from anything. Man, say he's going to drink some wine. I can't believe I heard that. And I love, again, Charles Barkley. Shout out to him. He went off on Minnesota. And when they played that clip, and I'm going to see if I can find that the audio from Charles Barkley after the guy said he's going to drink some wine after the game. He went off. He said, I can't believe these fools out here talking about drinking wine when you just lost a 26-point lead. But shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. Anyway, I'm sure he's probably might be drinking some wine right now. It's in the afternoon. I don't know. But nonetheless, speaking, I'll tell you who's not whining right now is my next guest, who is going to be joining me right now. I see him in the lobby, and I'm going to bring him on the screen. It's our first time doing this, and let's see. There he is.
What up, bro?
Himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Warren Shaw, in the building, co-host of the Baseline NBA podcast. You can see right there over his shoulder. Founder of TalkSPORTS.com as well. Dope Conversations host as well with some great interviews that he does. I'm going to talk about that as well, man. But Warren, man, I'm so glad to have you on right here video-wise. We can actually see each other.
Right. This is like you said, this is the first time we've been able to kind of rock out like this, man. So I'm excited, man. You know, I always want to continue to support you, brother. So happy I can be here, man. Anytime.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you a ton as always, man. So how you feeling? I just spent a lot of time talking about the Grizz and take some calls and stuff like that after the insanity that was last night's game. Did you see it? I saw you kind of tweet afterwards about how weird the game was. What was your thoughts watching it and seeing everything unfold?
So I keep it a buck with you, right? So I was working on one of my other shows. Mm-hmm. So I kind of had it on and, I'm watching the first quarter, Minnesota's up, 20, whatever. I'm just like, oh, right, home court advantage, blah, 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 whatever. Come back. Oh, they coming back. Turn on the third quarter. Oh, that comeback's over. And I almost tweeted this out, honestly, that, Minnesota must have feel like they've had to win this game over 4 and 5 times over. But I just didn't. And I'm glad I didn't because they did not win. They did not win that game. And the Grizzlies showed the most amount of resolve I've seen. I tweeted, it's one of the more bizarre games I've ever seen. I've never seen 2 20-plus point comebacks in the same game. And then to win the game by like 8-10 or whatever it was, like ultimately, that was just the ultimate collapse. And I don't know if you're Minnesota, how you come back from this. I really don't.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You got to wonder, when you're a young team, you already know they're young. With Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, guys like that. Young coach as well with Chris Finch, as far as being a head coach, that is. Despite the hair looking like Moses, so just young as a coach. But how do you feel, right? Because I was just kind of going in on the fact that, as a Timberwolves fan, I would be so angry to not call one single timeout in a 21-0 run. Grizz went on a 21-0 run. No timeouts. Just keep going, keep yelling, screaming, running, or whatever he was doing over there. How big of a failure in coaching is that in your opinion?
Yeah, it's tough because I think it can go both ways where, he's not Phil Jackson, right? No, but a Phil Jackson-like coach would have been like, well, I wanted them to figure this out and stop the bleeding, and you learn from that. And then maybe that will be the end result. But in learning from this, you ended up losing the game in the playoffs, and you're a team that haven't been to the playoffs in X amount of years, right? So it's just, to me, that was probably the most egregious part of it, because I get that wanting to teach the lesson and have them kind of work through it, but you haven't been here before really to be taking these chances, and it's a kind of a crucial and pivotal game 3 on your home floor. You would just kind of want to take advantage of that. In a series that I think is more evenly matched than maybe some people thought it was going to be, talent-wise, because, again, Minnesota came in here really feeling like they did match up well, and in some ways that still is very much true, but the mental aspect of it and the resolve that the Grizzlies have shown throughout the course of the season continues to rear its face. And, again, to me, that's amazing. That really is just amazing to be able to do that. And, for Finch and the T-Wolves, just kind of let it happen to them.
Definitely, man. And so your thoughts, have your thoughts changed at all about the series, or do you feel like it's basically going the way you thought? And also, to that point, how do you feel about the Grizz? Does this change your thoughts at all about their chances overall in the playoffs? Are they a true contender, or does this put some people said this put some doubt in their mind, even with the comeback, that to fall behind to that point that maybe they're not ready? What do you say?
I mean, there's, like I said, there's always two sides of a coin, right? And I think I'm always going to look at it from the positive side. They won. They came back, right? So, I mean, you can say like, well, they got down, and I get that too. But to me, it's the fact that they've been able to overcome so much this year when it comes to injury and various levels of adversity. It's been one of the bigger plug-and-play rotations, I think, in the NBA this year, where everybody always contributes and they always stay ready. And that says a lot about them as a team, about how they're coached and their overall, culture to me. So to me, I just feel like, hey, they're solidifying their case. Minnesota is, again, it's a tough matchup. But I think for a team like this, Memphis rather, who is also somewhat unproven, this is a great way to kind of sharpen your tools here and then get ready for the next round. And I think they do have a chance in the Western Conference.
Definitely, man. And the West is very, really the entire playoffs, but the West in particular is really getting interesting, especially in this Mavericks Jazz series. Now, The Mavericks win again, 126 to 118, and this was in Utah last night as well. Now, what in the world's going on, man? Because, there's no Luka, but you wouldn't think so if you weren't watching this series. You think, okay, Luka's doing this thing. No, it's Jalen Brunson, a.k.a. Isaiah Thomas, Allen Iverson combined or whatever, and Spencer Dinwiddie and guys like that. What do you say about this Mavericks team and how they've continued to forge ahead? Or, does it say more about Utah and what they got going on?
I mean, I hate to be a cop-out, but it's definitely a little bit of both. I mean, it really is. I think a lot of people were coming into the series thinking Utah was on its last legs. Then the injury happens. So Luka's like, all right, well, now they absolutely have to win. There's actually more pressure on them because Luka's not in the series, exactly. Despite them not having home court, to begin the series. So it's a little bit of an indictment on Utah and not being able to kind of get it done. But Dallas, man, honestly, Jalen Brunson is a monster. I've been watching him for the last couple years and just said, he's going to figure it out one day, and it's really happened. And I think I tweeted right before the game one, I was like, his bag, the price of the brick is going up. I already knew what it was coming into because without Luka, he was going to have to be more assertive. And so to see him really kind of take this on, and to see Spencer Dinwiddie continue to fit in, and that now doesn't put the pressure on Luka to rush back. This Dallas team is really doing it. And I will say this here on your show, and I've said it on mine as well too, but Jason Kidd has made me have to eat crow because I've doubted him many times and his antics and methods as a coach, and kind of how he's gotten some of his positions, but he's truly grown from those days. Like, he's not the same guy who stole a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
And he has his team believing and playing defense. And, it's scary to me because people don't remember Tim Hardaway Jr. is not playing for the team either, in addition to Luka. So they made the trade for Dinwiddie more or less to kind of make sure that they had more guard depth and rotation and more playmaking ability off the ball from Luka himself. But this team, once fully healthy, I mean, and if they're able even to retain Brunson, I don't really know if that will happen. I think he's going to price himself out of there. Yeah. But, one thing at a time, right? And they're handling business here against the Utah Jazz, and Luka should be back, probably game 4, game 5.
No doubt, man. It's really interesting to see Brunson. I've always liked Brunson anyway. I mean, even going back to college, I mean, this is a guy that was a player of the year in the nation out of college, and I think guys like him that have experience out of college seem like it's almost like, you've been there some years that works against you with your NBA reputation for whatever reason. Even with Desmond Bain getting drafted as late as he was a clear, home run as far as a player. But it seems like, experience in college works against you for whatever reason. But looking at on the Utah side of things, is it time to just blow this thing up now? Because you're looking at, Conley, Mitchell, and Gobert, which they refuse to sit him no matter how well they do without him on the floor. And one of those things Charles Barkley talks about all the time. What are they doing? He can't guard none of those shooters. What do you think about Utah, man? And is this the last run of this group?
Unfortunately, I think it is. And not because of, I don't know, talent, so to speak, but there's sometimes just teams reach a plateau. And that's just kind of is what it is. And that's an unfortunate situation. They're paying Rudy Gobert a brink load ton of money over the next couple of years.
I can tell you've been watching Snowfall, man. all these bricks and power probably as well. But yeah, go ahead.
I just actually finished Snowfall a little while ago. We talk about that. But with Utah, I mean, you're starting to hear the rumors, about Quinn Snyder and San Antonio, or Quinn Snyder maybe to the Lakers or wherever else. So it just seems like it's starting to fade here, and especially if they cannot get it done in this round against a Luka Doncic Dallas Mavericks team. The writing there just kind of has to be on the wall, and I don't know which way they go, because I think everyone is saying, well, you can't trade Gobert with that contract. Donovan will get you back more assets. He probably wants to be out anyway if things don't work out this way anyhow. And I get all that. So I do think you're going to see some massive shifting in here. We have my former guy, Danny Ainge, over here now running things in Utah as well. So if it doesn't go well, changes are definitely going to have to come.
Definitely, man. We'll talk with Warren Shaw, co-host of the Baseline NBA podcast, talking some NBA playoffs 2020. The first round has been very interesting, to say the least, and a couple teams I know you're interested in as well. Speaking of Danny Ainge and former team with the Celtics, up 2-0 on the Brooklyn Nets. 114-107 was game 2 after the Nets came out to that lead, man, and people thinking, okay, here's the bounce back, Kyrie's revenge, whatever you want to say. And nope, second half, KD, just speaking of bricks, some more bricks, just throwing up bricks in that second half, and the Celtics win again. It's amazing what Ime Udoka's team, man, has just flipped, and I think we talked about the last time, from the beginning of the season, to now, where they look like a real contender in the East, man. First of all, before we get to Brooklyn, because that can almost be a show with just Brooklyn, but the Celtics, how do you feel they've shown themselves so far?
I've been impressed, and I'm not easy to impress, especially with a team that I care about. In essence, so to see their level of resolve, and it's hard to not remember that. I said I'm still like a scorned girlfriend, where I remember November, man. I remember what it was like blowing leads and not passing the ball, and I'm still shell shocked by it. And I feel like that same thing can happen at any time. It's almost like, when you're in a relationship and your significant other cheated on you. It's like, do you ever really forget? And I feel like that's how I am with the Celtics team this year, despite the now months that they've shown and the great defense and everything that Udoka has done to kind of turn this around here since those early days. But I'm proud to see them, fighting in the way they have. I don't think it's a secret. Milwaukee ducked them, at least for the first round. I mean, they just didn't had to deal with that in the first round. And, Boston was like, all right, well, we're going to throw our chips against the wall and see where it lands. So I'm excited to see that. But, the series is not over. And those are two Hall of Fame talents on that roster over there that can sometimes good defense isn't good enough to stop great offense. And if those guys really, really get cooking and decide, to do the right thing sometimes and play making other guys get in there. I mean, Dragic was having a great game. Then Nash didn't play him, till midway to the end of the third quarter for whatever reason. Hey, thanks, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but he was cooking. And Seth Curry, another guy too, has a great outlet. So I don't really know what to make of the Ben Simmons stuff on the Brooklyn side. But when it comes to what Boston is doing, a great job. Kudos to them, especially for the defense and really trusting each other and not allowing those early season problems to come back here now when the playoffs are kind of taking place.
Definitely, man. And, seeing Tatum and Brown, take that control, it's got to be real interesting with the dynamic of you got Kyrie on the other side, and you think about his role in the beginning of Tatum and Brown's time in Boston, right? When Kyrie was that older guy, and a lot of people feel like he failed in the leadership of that whole thing. Say, hey, I love Boston. I'm
hold on. You said a lot of people. He did fail. There's no passes here, bro.
I'm trying to be soft, man. But I know that's your team. I know you ready to go in right now. Were you one of the people cursing at Kyrie in the first game? But no,
I have a lot more class than that.
but look, man. So looking at Kyrie's whole thing, how did you feel about? I know we didn't talk about after that first game. How did you feel about that whole dynamic? How both sides carried themselves, so to speak.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about how Kyrie and the fans and that aspect of it, right? Let me just touch on that real quick. I really wish, and it's a line, it's an old line that Nas said in one of his songs, but some beefs are everlasting. And the beef between the Celtics fans and Kyrie it's going to be everlasting. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, had this not been the first round matchup and had they, whatever, Philly ended up with Brooklyn and we've played them down the line. I don't know what happens here, but it's just too fresh. It's still too, and he's embraced the dark, as he said, right? So if he's going to play the villain, and the Celtics crowd is definitely going to play into that, it's not going to get easier. So I don't know if we will ever get past this. I think when it comes to anytime he comes into, TD Garden, but at the end of the day, I hope I hope the fans can keep it as respectful as they possibly can. And maybe that's a hard ask, at this stage. But I think even in some ways, Kyrie's like, he's willing to pay the fine. When flipping off the fans and things of that nature, while it's not something that I would personally do, I mean, I'm not being out there, not being disrespected in the way that he's claiming that is happening. Yeah. So I think there's a certain thing that just as a man with a certain level of integrity that you want to have, there's only so much you can take. So I think it's probably going to get worse in that situation before it gets better, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame, man. But one thing about it, as far as embracing the dark, his play, at least in that first game, was quite unbelievable, and despite losing. But now we're at an 0-2 situation for Brooklyn. How do they look in your mind going forward? You got the Ben Simmons rumors, which continually blows my mind in logic. You go from not having any contact at all to now, hey, he's coming back tomorrow, or whatever. But so what do you think about that? And shout out to Todd Harnett, one of the guys asking the question as well. You worried about Ben coming back? So talk about that whole dynamic.
You know what? Honestly, I don't know if worry is the right word. I mean, I think you just have to you have to game plan potentially for that situation, because I think if he does come back, it's primarily to be a defender and really to maybe be some semblance of a play creator, but not looking at somebody who's going to be trying to get downhill and score or post up and do some of those things. At least that's my assessment of it. He could come back here and he could look great and have all the confidence in the world and go on a mini revenge tour. I mean, that's possible, but I don't think that's the most likely scenario. So as a play creator and as another guy who can defend, Brown and Tatum, and giving KD and Kyrie time off of those assignments, yeah, then that's something that you have to be concerned about. But I think if Boston can continue to do what they have been doing and moving the ball and allowing other guys to contribute, you got, 16 points from Grant Williams, then you got Marcus Smart scoring, 20 points a game, or whatever the case be. Peyton Pritchard coming in and scoring, and I know a lot of people still don't know who he is. So to see him shine like that in game 2 in the national stage was immense. If the Celtics continue to trust their others, like Brooklyn also needs to trust their others, then you're not worried as much about a Ben Simmons impact. But you can't just miss it completely. And I think that's something. I think some people are just like, oh, it's not going to matter. He hasn't played in a year, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I get that. But if he's not, the pressure isn't on him in essence to save the series and really just kind of almost be a high level role player, especially defensively, I think that's a role he can maybe do, even if it's 10, 15 minutes a night. And that can change the game. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see when he comes back and how that whole thing's going to look, no question, man. But I'll tell you, there's no doubt lack of intrigue in that series from multiple.
Yeah, I wish it was a little less intriguing. But
I get that, man. You're invested. I get it. Trust me. Yeah. We'll talk with Warren Shaw. I got here talking some NBA playoffs. And another interesting situation is what's going on with the Suns and the Pelicans, man. I mean, I didn't think I would actually be saying that, especially after that first game. But you got game 2, you got the Pelicans winning. And then on top of all of that, you got the Devin Booker stuff. Man, hamstrings. I know Chris Paul has to just hate that word at this point. Hamstrings. And, if it's not him, it's somebody close. So how do you feel that's going to affect things when it comes to Phoenix, despite this incredible season that they've had?
Yeah, it really, I want to see how things go, right, in game 3. I really do. And it's not trying to duck the question, but this Pelicans team is playing with a different level of swag and confidence. Obviously since the acquisition of CJ McCollum, Jackson Hayes going in now and being a full-time power forward and playing alongside Valanciunas for long stretches of the game. Like, it's just, there's some different things that have happened this year, and I don't think they're intimidated. And now they have a chance really to kind of have not say a leg up, but they can try to really take advantage of Booker not being there and attack Phoenix in different ways. However, the Suns have proved repeatedly that they can win without Chris Paul, and they've been able to win without Devin Booker as well. Guys like Bridges and Crowder and even Ayton, now they probably step up into the front line here and get more touches, but more importantly, they need to figure out ways to lock in even more so defensively. They're not going to be maybe just kill it with fire like they would with Devin Booker out there, because they don't have that same guy who can get hot like that and score 31 and a half, at least not presumably so. Right. So for me, Phoenix, because they're still extremely well coached, I'm still giving them the advantage in this series, even without D Book. But this is not a Pelicans team to be taken lightly. And their role players they're definitely believing. And there's something really to be said about the way McCollum has come in, not only as a leader to play on the court, but how he's galvanized the rest of the roster in that locker room alongside Willie Green as well, too, at the helm. So those things can't be overlooked. But both teams are extremely connected. So that's what I think is really amazing. They have a lot of great team chemistry with those teams now. Phoenix just has a longer track record of it, obviously, with the last 2 seasons.
Exactly, and it's great to see Willie Green doing so well with the Pelicans, as well as you talked about Udoka as well with Boston and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. I know it's not going to be easy with, like you said, the Pelicans kind of on the roll, and McCollum coming over trying to prove, hey, I can do what Dame did or whatever the case is, if you want to say that. But that's going to be an interesting series as well, man. But anything else on the playoff spectrum that has your attention right now, just that's got your mind whirling?
I mean, it all does, man. I think I pay attention to everything. That great Game 3 in Toronto, with Philadelphia, and Embiid with the turnaround 3. I'm sitting here watching it with my wife. She doesn't care, but she's like, "What is going on?" Like, that was crazy. And those types of things, like it's exciting. So I think when you're looking at that now, obviously Toronto, I don't know if Barnes will be back here now for Game 4, but if that series looks like it's eventually essentially over, so you're looking at Miami on the converse side of the other side of that bracket, is like, all right, well, we need to try to take care of Atlanta here so that Philadelphia is not getting all this rest and we're here grinding out a series. So I think those are things that are interesting. And even just, as I think I talked about you last time, the kinds of overlooking of the Miami Heat, despite the number one seed.
The number one seed,
it just doesn't, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense. And then obviously flipping back over to the Western Conference, and Steph Curry ceremoniously still coming off the bench for whatever reason, for it's and giggles, if you will. We'll see how long this lasts, but they're taking care of the Denver Nuggets as well too, and they're looking extremely strong. I didn't expect them to click back this fast, and maybe that's ignorant of me. I just figured let Curry kind of work his way back, but he really is back. And I think they were playing a little bit of possum now, it seems like. And Jordan Poole just doing what he's doing too, just throwing out there as a third splash brother. So the Warriors looking real great. Memphis doing their thing. I think the playoffs have been at very exciting times thus far, man.
No doubt, man. And I'm asking you this just real quick before we go. When you talk about the 76ers, how much are you growing in trust with the way they're doing things? Because I almost feel like I am, for the fact that, and this may be interesting, but I feel like with James Harden almost playing I don't know if I can say a third wheel with the way Maxi's been playing. Yeah. He doesn't have any pressure. Of course it's the pressure of winning, but being that guy, like he was in Houston, it was him, and then maybe somebody else. But he's like, okay, this is Embiid's team, it's got Maxi doing this thing. I could sit back and just play. Does that play a factor in anything in your mind?
I mean, it does, how real is this Maxey run? And that remains to be seen to some degree. I love Tyrese Maxey. I just don't know how real this is. And as the stakes of the pressure continue to mount each round of the playoffs, we'll still see this level of efficiency and scoring from him. But because Harden is setting him up and is acquiescing into that role, it seems like it may work. This is the role he was trying to have in Brooklyn. And then, Kyrie was out. So he ended up being a higher level funcking number 2 than maybe even wanted to, despite the $45 million or whatever it is he makes a year. I think he's really not interested in being a 35, 40 point per game night anymore. And just, collecting his checks, so to speak, but helping his team win in other ways. I'm not saying that he's just, out here, going through the motions. So, but even that, Tobias Harris has played well in this series, and as well as obviously Max, as you alluded to. So those are things that I'm looking at as well. And if you talk about Philadelphia being real, they still got a guy who has a lot of questions about him on the sidelines, and Doc Rivers. So once they face some real adversity and they overcome that, then, I guess we can have that conversation. I think until now, hey, they're up 3-0. It's all puppies and rainbows right now. So we'll see what happens in the next round, presumably against the Miami Heat.
Definitely, man. It's going to be real interesting to watch. And, before Doc Rivers takes that Lakers job, he wants to succeed here and get him a ring before he goes to LA and start some more drama and underachieve. But that's Warren Sharp, man. Tell the people they can follow you, find you, and check out all your stuff, bro.
I appreciate it, brother. You can find me on Twitter at ShawSportsNBA. Follow the Baseline, my regular podcast at NBA Baseline. And I'm out here grinding, man. I'm busy. I just started a Miami Heat podcast with the Believe Network. Oh, wow. And we got, I got dope interviews, as my man alluded to as well, too. And that's just a show, podcast where we discuss pretty much anything. Anybody doing something amazing around the world. It's not just sports. had a show today drop that was about sustainable sneakers, man. So we out here, we grinding, we hustling. Make sure you stay tapped into 19 Media Group as well too. A lot of great content coming out from my fellas over there, man.
All right, man. Look, I appreciate you coming on, and I almost want to sneak this last little question into you. Is with I know the Grizz talk a lot, right? And a lot of junk, a lot of stuff. Does it get on your nerves as much as some other folks, or do you love it? Because see, that's what I'm gonna say, man. I feel like if I was a Minnesota fan, I'd hate it. But I'm a Grizz fan. Maybe I'm spoiled. I still love John just not giving any care whatsoever.
Honestly, I love it. I mean, even the stuff that Minnesota's talking, I love that too, because I think it's just two young, brash teams who feel like, hey, like why not us? Why not now? And I can appreciate that. So I get it. I wish I had that level of confidence. I wish I had that level of talent to maybe even back it up as well too. But I'm not hating. But trust me, I see the timeline, man. And I'm like, wow, they went from like darlings, the Grizzlies, to like, they're too young, they're not ready, they're too brash. And I was like, well, we were all loving it in the regular season. What would have changed between that time and now when the playoffs started? Like, what happened? Like I said, Twitter's not a real place, man. So don't even bother. don't take it seriously.
That's a great advice to end the show. Right there, man. Hey, Warren, appreciate you as always. Definitely got to get you back on because the playoffs are nuts. So I'm sure we're going to be talking plenty over the next few weeks.
My guy, I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your show, brother. And definitely anytime you need me, I'm here, man. I'll holler at you. Have a great one.
Appreciate you, bro. All right. That's Warren Shaw, man, coming through on the StreamYard, joining me via video. So, man, I appreciate that. As always, going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, talk a little bit more. If you guys got anything you want to say, you can feel free to hit me up as well. I'll put the number on the screen when we come back, but we will be back right after this. You're watching Talk Sports Live.
For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
I watch y'all coming here for years, because you shot somebody. Now your life is shot. You're going to pick that phone up one day, and that girl going to be done dumped you and raise your child with another man. Or maybe your mama or your grandmama dies. Because ain't nothing you can do about it. You got 15 to 20 years, state or fed time. Real talk. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.
We don't bluff.
We don't bluff. We done told you. We don't bluff. 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 We done told you. We don't bluff. 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 We done told you. We don't bluff. 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 We done told you. We don't bluff. We don't bluff. We don't bluff. We don't bluff. We don't.
And welcome back to the show. Talk Back Live Network presents Talk Sports Live. I am live here in the Talk Back Live Network studios, man. About to close the show out here, man. Just a few more minutes. If y'all want to chime in some more what happened last night, some other stuff going on as well. Also, let me put some stuff out there. If you are a Memphis Tigers fan,
something to look forward to potentially tonight, as you got Kendrick Davis, the number one player in the country in the transfer portal. If you remember, he played for SMU last season. He played against the Tigers, lit the Tigers up as well. And, was one of the best guards in the country. He is down to his final few. And let me pull it up right now, as a matter of fact, because that is going down tonight. He is deciding who he is going to play for next season. And Memphis is in the final few when it comes down to that. He put out a tweet about 6 hours ago, quote, "One of the toughest decisions I've ever had to make, but tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time, he's going to be announcing where he will attend school this fall and play basketball, of course." So this is going to be very, very interesting. If you don't know who Kendrick Davis is, again, SMU 6-foot guard, played a key role in helping SMU to 3 straight winning seasons, and he is the reigning, defending AAC Player of the Year. He finished second in the American Athletic Conference in scoring with a 37.2% from 3 on 6 attempts per game, which is pretty good. He's more than a shooter. He's a big-time point guard as well. He ranked 4th in the nation with 7.6 assists per game, while still scoring 19 points per contest. So that is extremely invaluable when you talk about a point guard that not only can distribute on a high level, but can score at a high level and can shoot at the highest of levels. The Tigers have a very high possibility of being his destination. A lot of places I've seen said it is probably the favorite of his destinations. Now, the teams that are interested in him is not a easy chore for the Tigers. You got Texas, the Longhorns. You got the defending national champion Kansas Jayhawks. You got Memphis. You got Gonzaga. You got Houston. So you got some big-time folks, TCU as well, Texas Tech as well. So 3 Texas schools fighting for his services. You got the national champs fighting for his services, and a perennial top 5 team in Gonzaga fighting for his services. And a lot of people feel Penny Hardaway is the favorite to land Kendrick Davis here in Memphis. So we're going to see what happens. 8 p.m. Central Time tonight. Be sure y'all check out your social media, and we're going to be on top of it as well to let you know what happens. Also, I'm going to throw this out there too. If you do like the Tigers, I feel like, I just got a feeling, the next few weeks will probably be pretty positive as it relates to the Tigers roster going forward. So just stay on the lookout. Stay on the lookout. We may even have some folks to talk about that. But as of right now, what I may or may not be hearing is positive. So we'll see what ends up happening when it comes to the Tigers. I definitely can't drop none of that stuff I'm hearing right now, nonetheless. But very, very interesting to say the least. But again, a couple more minutes here. If you want to talk Grizz, you got any more thoughts on what happened last night? A couple I didn't get to read before I went into the interview. Courtney Arnold said these coaching adjustments have been masterful over the last 2 games. Coach Jenkins is showing he can lead this team past almost any hurdle. And that's again, another sign of a good coach. When your team falls behind, when adversity strikes, the leadership is a light is shown on that leadership. Whether it's good or bad, it's going to show in times of trouble, so to speak, I guess you could say, especially when you talk about a team environment. How's the leadership of that team? Do they collapse like Minnesota? Like, again, you had an adverse time with the Grizz and the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves having a 26-point lead collapse before their very eyes. Under good leadership, one could argue that team would not have panicked the way they did and completely collapsed and lost. But Chris Finch and his no timeout calling self failed his team. Meanwhile, Coach Taylor Jenkins, falling behind by 25 twice, kept the team poised enough
to not lose it and to get it together for that comeback. So I think that says a lot about Coach Jenkins and the leaders on the roster, as well as his coaching staff. So definitely deserves credit for that. But, man, that's going to do it for me on today. Appreciate everybody for joining me, whether you watched, listened, any type of way. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you for doing so. I'm your host, Joshua Midget. This is Talk Sports Live, and I will see you again here on this show next Friday, 3 p.m., same time, same place. But tomorrow, we got 2 shows coming up. We got Let's Talk About It. That is, you see there on the left of me on the screen. Let's Talk About It with Bishop Bob Midget every Saturday at 1 p.m. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock, be sure y'all stay tuned for that. He's got a big interview coming up. He's posted about on his page with a political candidate running for office in Arkansas. So y'all stay tuned for that. It's going to be great, great stuff. Then coming up at 4 p.m. on Saturday before the Grizzly game, you can check out Talkback Live with me and Bob. It's Bob and Josh at 4 p.m. Central Time coming up this Saturday, tomorrow. So y'all stay tuned. Back here, same time. Not the same time as now, but same channel right here. Follow us on all our social media. Talkback Live with Bob and Josh on Facebook. Talkback Live Network on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. Talkback Live on Twitter at Talkback Live. And also our website, going to get back updated on that, but you can check out there as well. TalkbackLiveNetwork.org. And you can check out our stuff there as well. So that's going to do it for us on today, and we will see you all tomorrow on Let's Talk About It.
For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's Shop and Save. $14.99 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. $14.99 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in business since 1991. Shop and Save, $14.99 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.